So before we dig in, Ashley, let's let everyone know how we met each other or became aware of each other, because that's crucial too as well.
Okay, yes. So me and you met through Barter Black. I was the app project manager for launching that app, and we work with you to do an event to promote Barter Black and to increase the brand awareness. So that's how me and you got to know each other and came across each other.
And I really, really appreciate it. I love the app. I've used the app. I use the app to get your book.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
Yes,
and
it is a phenomenal app.
I use the app for another service provider. I have a speech at the Black Writers Weekend in Atlanta, and she helped me tighten up the speech. So that app is amazing. And if you are an entrepreneur, whether you're bootstrapped or not, and
Mhm.
just are in need of different products or services, I highly suggest you to visit the blackbarter.io. That's
Mhm.
the regular site, right?
Yes.
And yep, and you can shop the marketplace, see what's out there, and then sign up. Shout out to
Yeah.
Nicole Murphy.
Yes. Nicole. Nicole is in the middle of everything and connecting people. So I appreciate her.
Yes, same here, same here. So, Ashley, I was, of course, you sent me over information about yourself, and I did a little bit of social stalking as well. And I saw, unlike a lot of people, you majored in business and you stayed in business. Like
Mhm.
my bachelor's is African American Studies, and I'm in marketing, right? Make that make sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
So, can you tell us what was your motivation for getting the business degree, and what was it that kind of motivated and dedicated to that field?
Yes, you're kind of breaking up a little bit, but I heard the question, so I'm gonna just roll with it. So for number one, I've been loving business since this might sound strange, since middle school. I was very fascinated with how people started business, the finance part of it. Um, I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur at a very early age. So when I graduated high school, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I didn't want to do like business administration. I wanted to fully understand, one, when I was younger, how to actually manage a business. And what that entails as far as operations, finance, and just and in leadership as well. So I went to school, got my undergrad for business management, um, and I just been loving business ever since then. So business is I'm passionate about it. So currently I am studying international business.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, I want to learn more about if you expand into these other countries, what that look like, the laws, policies. Um, I study companies like Starbucks and McDonald's to really see how they tapped into other markets, because a lot of small businesses, or I would say startups, they feel like they can't, or they feel like it's out of reach, and it's simply just strategy and patience and being intentional of knowing where your audience is and how you could connect with your target audience.
Uh, I agree. I absolutely. I think when I left corporate America, I did it mostly out of frustration. And then I started this because I needed to pay my mortgage, right?
Mhm.
But I think there are people who think of what we're doing as like a placeholder, bringing in income to pay the bills and do the things that we want to do. But then there becomes a mindset shift, and some people were like, okay, this is an operating functional business, and I'm going to treat it as such. And I feel like
Mhm.
once people have that mindset shift, that's when they think and start planning and strategizing with you, correct?
Yes, yeah. That's exactly right. So the mindset has to be there. So if you're still thinking, oh, I'm a startup, or oh, I don't need this right now, then you're probably not my ideal client. And I'm not going to go back and forth with you. Um, it's mostly to get people to understand that you could start strategy at any point in your business, because think about it, you use strategy in life when it comes to paying your bills, when it comes to even in corporate, how you're positioning yourself to move up the ladder. Like all of that is strategy, and it's just really trying to get people to understand strategy. And what I do, I take it and simplify it. It doesn't have to be over complicated. It's really simple. It's just a bridge that's connecting you to where you are, to where you're trying to go, and your vision for your company. And I always tell people, if you don't have a vision for where you want this company to go, and it doesn't have to be big, it could be big, small, whatever that thing looks like. If you don't have a vision, how are you going to have a strategy? Because you don't even know where you're going. So I tell people, from the moment you decide to start a business, the strategy part is important. And to your point, people do look at, our businesses like, oh, it's a side hustle, or, you're just doing it for money. And that's not the case. I teach strategies that people probably never even heard of or don't fully understand. And I take those strategies and break it down to fit that business. Because the most important thing, yes, revenue is important, but you want to make an impact. So if you make an impact, then the revenue is going to come, because then once you have impact, you have influence. Then that's when you start seeing referrals and you start growing and all of the things. So I try to tell people, you want to measure the impact, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You need to focus on the impact and the influence, and that's how you get your people.
So what I'm hearing too is you could be a solopreneur, you could have 0 employees,
Mm-hmm.
0 VA or 1 VA, and you still need to think like a business strategist who may be operating $1 million company or is the COO of a Fortune 500. You still have to implement the strategy. So the business size doesn't matter. You can implement any one of these 3 strategies you talk about in your book, regardless of your size, right?
Yep, you sure can. You
Okay.
sure can. And we make it really easy for you. You don't have to think about it overcomplicated.
Okay. So let's do a quick teaching moment. I want to talk about the 3 different strategies you mentioned, because I was reading it and I was taking notes. Girl, I highlighted. Look, I was not playing. So like I literally
Oh, thank you.
I literally started this business because I did not want to go back to corporate America. And so I started with the mindset of I need to pay my bills. I hate accounting. I hate all of the other stuff. I just wanted to do marketing. So my first 2 years in business, I was so excited, and I had a strategy and I had a plan from a marketing perspective that I made 6 figures my first 2 years, right?
Wow.
Third year, and we're not gonna talk about that. But that's because I didn't have a business strategy and I was burnt out, and the model that I was using, I don't want to use going forward. And I saw a quote that said, you can make your first 6 figures, but how you make your next 6 figures could be totally different. And I feel like you had mentioned people get stuck and how you can get unstuck. But first I want to talk about the 3 types of business strategies, and then we're going to talk about why you think people are, well, you know what? Let's talk about why people are stuck first, and then we'll talk about the 3 strategies.
So I feel like people, so to your point, you made 6 figures, you said the first 2 years. So it seems like you scaled or grew really, really fast. And most of the time when that happens, you start your business and the money is coming. So most of the time, and I'm saying most because this probably wasn't your case, you're thinking, oh, what I'm doing is working, why change it? That's one thing. The second thing is people don't think about contingency, right? They don't think about having a plan in place when the market is upside down or when we have anything could affect your business, the government, whatever they do, the environment, all of that affects your business. You need a plan for each of those things, a contingency plan if that happens, right? So if something happens to your business, you need to be able to pivot smooth. And I think when people they get stuck, they're making the money, but when they see the money of the clients not coming in, they're like, oh, they panic. They're reacting instead of proacting, right? So that tells me you had nothing in place before. You were just making the money, okay? And you just going with the flow. I'm still doing what I'm doing because, hey, the money is flowing.
Why are you talking about me? Like, this is my podcast. Why are you talking about me? The hell?
I don't kill the messenger. But then you get to a point, you realize that you really didn't have a strategy. All you had was, like you say, I know how to market myself. I know how to position and the money coming in. But strategy is not just marketing. When I'm talking about strategy, I'm looking at your entire business. I'm not looking in the form of silos or anything like that. How do you move this entire organization from point A to B to your vision? And what happens in between there when you do get stuck or things happen? That's where strategy and your contingency plan come in. So when people get stuck, that's why they're stuck. They're making the money, but they don't have a clue on what to do after.
That's me. I know, I know, a business owner, and she operated 100% off of referrals. But then after a while, referrals dried up, and then she got frustrated, and she didn't have a strategy in mind, and she didn't think contingency, like you said. And for me, I was doing DM, strategy and outreach and all of that. But after a while, that dries up too, and you have to move to something else. And so I was thinking like a marketer, because I came out the gate, with this really strong, marketing strategy and winning all these awards, that things would just start coming. But like you said, all of a sudden we get a whole new administration, and what? 300,000 Black women are laid off. And
Yeah,
that's your target audience, right?
exactly. And that's where, and I think so I also do a framework and so I don't do a SWOT analyst because it's outdated, because
Tell
it does.
people what SWOT is.
So SWOT is, your strength, your weakness, opportunities, and threats. So they teach you that when you're in your undergrad, a lot of people may have heard of it, probably high school. I would say, yeah, high school and above, you probably heard of it. But when you're talking strategy and moving the whole business, a SWOT analysis is outdated because it doesn't give you the full picture of what could happen, if, like you said, the administration changed. So I do something called a PESTLE. It's PESTLE. It's the acronym. And I look at your business as a whole. We're looking at how politics can affect your business, how the environment, what are your threats, your competitors, what are they doing? And typically we do the opposite. But I look at the business as a whole and provide you with, okay, these are the things that could possibly happen based on what's going on now. Now you need a contingency plan to pivot if these things happen. Because what happened with COVID, a lot of businesses shut down because they didn't know how to navigate that, when you shouldn't look at those things that happen as like, oh God, we got to shut down. This is not going to work. You have to look at it as an opportunity for growth.
And also too, Ashley, I know a lot of e-com businesses that blew up because of COVID. But then when things settled, they were like, where's all the money? Where's all the customers?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's beyond mindset, and I feel like you're telling us it doesn't matter if you're a one person operation. You need to think 10 steps ahead and have a strategy and contingency for every single possible pivot or effect to your business.
Yes, with the government being number one, if we haven't learned anything the last 2 years, is that we know how the government affects our businesses. I mean, look at the grants, like people who their business thrive on grants and, these government contracts. What happens when that dry up? How are you still reaching your customers? So now you have to go back to the drawing board and look at your business as a whole, and not like, oh, I'm just a small business or I'm an individual. No, you have to look at your business as a whole if you want it to grow into whatever you want it to be.
So with that said, perfect segue into the three. I'm pretty sure there are more types of
Yeah.
strategies, but you talked about three in your book: agile, differentiation, and
The blue ocean. I
blue
got
ocean. Yes, blue ocean. I was like, this is kind of cool. I like that.
you.
So, can you tell us about blue ocean and which clients you see it fits best for?
Blue ocean could fit in any industry. I'm gonna be honest. So the blue ocean, and I'm just gonna give a quick overview. So you have in business, they call something called the red ocean and then the blue ocean. So the red ocean, I'll use you for example. You're in this red ocean with maybe million other entrepreneurs, right? So you're all competing for the same customers, the same space, and all of the things, right? How do you separate yourself and go into a blue ocean? Well, the purpose of the blue ocean is to create a new value for your business. So, give you an example. In the book, I use Nintendo, how they came up with the Wii concept. They're competing with Sony. Everyone is a gamer. Their thought process for the corporations, okay, we want to reach non-traditional customers. And what I mean by that, people who are not gamers. How can we reach these people to attain more revenue and another stream of revenue in addition to what we already have? So they use the ERRC framework, and that's what I use with other companies. And they went down, they looked at their industry as a whole. What happened, they say, man, well, what about families, kids, and parents? What can they do to connect their families and spend family time? Well, that's where the Wii came. So now you have a Wii that made a lot of money, billions of dollars, right? Because now families are like, oh, I'm a mom, I'm not a gamer, but I will play this simple game with my kids or with my husband. So that's how they came up with the Wii using the blue ocean strategy. And it takes some thinking because you're looking at not just your business, but the industry and where are the gaps in the industry. So that's what the blue ocean strategy focus on, what new value you could create, how you could quietly remove yourself from the competition before your competition even realize you're not even competing with them.
You know what that sounds like to me? I love that strategy. That's what I tell my authors, right? There's a million books on self-care. There's a million books on black, women's wellness or black women's peace or whatever. But what is
Mhm.
I mean, we'll talk about it the next strategy, but
Mhm.
what is it about not just your book, but about your offer that's going to make you stand out from those comparable titles and those comparable
Mhm.
authors as well? So if you're an author and you're listening to this and you're thinking this doesn't apply to you, this 110% applies to you, ma'am,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes, it definitely does. Anybody could use that strategy.
Okay. And then differentiation.
Yeah, so that one is basically, how do you, separate yourself from the competition? Now it's a little different from the blue ocean. You may be different as far as your branding, right? Or how you deliver your products and services to your customers. Or even I'll take it a step further, something called scent marketing, one of my partners that do, and she helped businesses create a signature scent for their customers. That is an example of how you could be different from your competitors, right? So when I'm talking about how you could be different, think of things like that. You're still reaching the same customers, you're just being different from your competitors. And that's the difference between that and blue ocean.
Okay. So it's kind of like having a publishing company that also does author marketing. because a lot of publishing companies don't do that. So
Yep, there you
different.
go. That's exactly what it is. That's
Yes.
exactly what it is. So yes.
Oh, so Lisa says she's missed people hearing people talk about red and blue oceans. How cool is that?
Oh,
So
yeah,
y'all,
thank you, Lisa.
yeah, y'all could talk that all day. I'm just learning. I know about differentiation because I'm a marketer, but I don't know anything
Mhm.
about this business stuff. So you are teaching me, and I can't do it now, guys. If you weren't on earlier, we had a delay because we were having technical issues. So I literally switched to StreamYard at 11:40 something, right? So this is
Mhm.
brand new. But after the live is over, I'm going to put the link so you guys can get her book. And I'm also going to put the link to Barter Black as well if you want to participate. And this book I read, it's a quick read, guys, but
Yeah.
it is so good. Like I can see a business owner, a solopreneur, you're a business owner,
Mhm.
even an author saying, oh my gosh, I want to try the blue ocean strategy, going over to Claude.ai, telling Claude about your business, telling Claude that you want to try blue ocean, giving Claude
Mhm.
all your details and it helping you map it out. But we are not professionals, and there's a disclaimer on every AI, it makes mistakes. It's a good starting point, but having an expert by your side, I think, is critical. Like people who are writing and publishing books on AI, they get stuck. The interior formatting is off.
Mhm.
They can't find the right book cover. They can't upload it. There's going to come a point in time where you're going to need some hand holding.
Yep.
So, Ashley, thank you so much. And we're going to talk about the last business strategy, which is
Mhm.
agile.
Yes.
Right.
So that's mostly for my tech. I work with tech companies as well. So if you're building, a software database, whatever that looks like, we use that. We break it down in sprints. So we keep moving because in the tech world, technology is forever changing. So you have to be, ready to pivot quickly when that change comes. So agile is just mostly, we use that for tech, and it just keeps the process moving when you're building. You need someone to manage it. You need to make sure you are in tune with your customers based off what their needs are. A lot of tech founders, their brain works a little different. Some of them are more introverts, so they would need someone to help them have their ears to the business owners or ears to whoever their target audience is, and understanding what they need. So when that comes around, okay, we go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z. So we set up sprints and we set up like boards to help them keep moving the project forward. And it's easier for us to pivot if we run into any issues.
So I was a member of, the name of the book, Ansar, is The Art of Business Strategy. But I'll provide the link at the end of the live. So I was a member of this mastermind, and there was a book. It's called the 12-week year or something. They
Mhm.
would, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I
And
think so. I've heard of that book.
yeah, and they would do sprints. Is
Mhm.
it something like that?
Yes, it is exactly like that. It's hard to do that with, I feel like tech, if that strategy works best with tech. For anyone like in service base, or even if you're creatives, I would actually recommend either the blue ocean strategy. With I have a bunch of strategies. I only wrote about those three, but the blue ocean or the differentiation strategy for like if you're in a service base or creatives, because it's easier, I feel like, for you to create a strategy, and it's easier for you to write a contingency plan where you could pivot.
Okay, that sounds fair. All right, so here's my question to you. So I have this business. I'm just starting. I got your book and I want to do differentiator. And Claude is telling me, oh, that's perfect for you. Do this. And then, you start a business because you're good at this thing or you want to, have this particular type of impact,
Uh-huh.
but you don't know business, you don't know accounting, you don't know all of those things, right?
Mhm.
So for someone just starting out, and this includes the authors that have a book and that book is tied to their profession and they offer consulting services and all of that other stuff, right? In the book,
Mhm.
just like you have, right? The
Yeah.
book is the intro to what you do. So what is step two? Because everybody's gonna jump on Claude or ChatGPT, right? To try to figure this out. What's step two?
So this is funny. I always tell people because AI is here. People use it, they save money, and I definitely get that as an entrepreneur. I would say once you go to Claude and figure out what they tell you, then come to me so we could sort out through the foolishness. And I could really tell you, okay, this may work, but we're going to take that out. So step two is coming to me so we could sort out through what AI has given you. And I definitely don't mind doing that. That would be step two. Step three, I would probably tell them, first of all, did you tell Claude your vision, right? So some people, it's a simple step, but people miss it all the time. They don't have a clear vision for their business. So they're putting all this information into AI. Basically, what people are doing, they're just putting ideas. They're just putting ideas in AI. It's not strategy. And they're asking AI, okay, what's the best way to go about this, or whatever your prompt is. But if you don't have a clear strategy, then it makes no sense for you to put these ideas in, because where are you going? What are you trying to reach? Is it money? And I often tell people, don't chase the money. If you have the impact and the influence, the money is going to come. But what are you chasing? What is that vision that you're chasing? So you could put all of this in AI. AI is a tool. You have to know what prompts to ask and how to use that tool to grow your business. So I tell people, what's your vision? Where are you trying to go? And then from there, we break that down. I don't work, okay, you gave me 10 ideas. I'm probably going to tell you, cut all those ideas, because let's focus on growing this business first. And then we branch out and you have other revenue streams. But let's make this work first. So if I know your vision, I can help you get there. But if I don't know where you're going, I can't help you. So that would be the first thing I would tell anybody. Have a clear vision on where you see yourself or your business in the next 5, 10 years, 3 years, if you want. But just make sure you definitely have a vision so we know how to move you forward to reach that vision.
That sounds like you're
And
speaking
that
to
works
me
for
from.
authors too. Like if an author come to you, they wrote a book, they typically probably come to you because they say, okay, I wrote this book and I want to be on the bestsellers list, right? That's everyone dream goal. I want to be on the bestsellers, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like you probably tell them, okay, well, hold on, like let's sort this out with, marketing. But like you said, what's different about this? They have a million other self-help books, you know, they probably have to do personal branding and marketing and all the things. So you probably scale them back too and say, wait, whoa, let's, scale it back. And that's how I work. It's the same thing. Let's scale it back and let's really look at your business as a whole to see where we're going.
So it sounds like, well, I know I did it wrong. Like I got into entrepreneurship out of frustration. I was like, forget corporate America. I'm just gonna do this thing on my own. But I've seen people who actually had the plan, they sat down, they had the vision, they wrote it down, they got some fractional support to guide them, and they're 6 and 7 figure business owners. Like I've rubbed elbows with people like that. I know it's possible. So if you start off one way, there's always a time to pivot. So
Yeah. And a lot of people start off like that. I started off a little different because my mindset is a little different. I know the money is going to come. I started off because I wanted to help people. I have a lot of information. I've worked with corporations, so I'm giving you information that you're not going to find on Instagram. I'm giving you information that yes, you could Google, but if I would have told you, had I not would have told you, you wouldn't know what to Google. So, and execution is a big part of this. So I got into it to help people, to give them the information that they need to make informed decisions about their business. Like that's my passion. It's to fully help people and provide them with valuable information, not just what you see on Instagram, Facebook, because there's so much information out there. It's overwhelming, and people are struggling. Entrepreneurs, because they don't have the capital, they're going to these platforms looking, searching for answers, for help, and they're taking pieces from this, from that, from that. But all of those pieces are not aligned with what they're trying to do. So now you're stuck because you have this person saying this, you got them over here saying, oh, this, I learned this in the cohort. And it's not tailored to your business. It's not aligned with your business. These people are typically speaking on their experience and how they have achieved their success. You have to determine what's going to work for you. And that's where people generally come to me because they're stuck. They don't know what to do. Everybody's saying everything. How I know what information is for me. And that's where I help them to cut through all of that.
So you said something. You said they don't have the capital. And I think that stops a lot of people in their tracks and are trying to do these free webinars and get these free downloads and try to piecemeal stuff together. But not just only if you're serious about your business, but if you're serious about paying your bills regularly on time until you decide to move something else, you're going to have to invest. And I know for me, I felt stuck. Like how I made my 6 figures, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something else. And I remember I posted on Facebook because that's where a lot of my entrepreneurial community is. And I had asked them, I said that I was worn out and I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't know what to do next. And everybody is always trying to sell you something, sell you their mastermind, sell you their service, but you don't really know what you need because you're not a business person. So for someone who is stuck, like they have a good idea, their business has been doing well these last couple of years, but they're just stuck about what to do next. Is that what the business strategist is for?
Yes. So most of the time people do get stuck. And to your point, like a lot of people, what you were probably experiencing, of course, is burnout, right? Because we have this thing and as hustle culture, I got to hustle, I have to get it. And what I've learned, so this will be my 10th year in business. I've invested thousands of dollars in my business because I understand that this, I might not see the return right now, but the seed I'm planting now, I want to see it flourish. I want to build something long term, right? So that's one. Two, I don't want to hustle and get it. I want to work smarter. I want to be intentional. So for me, I have a lot of partnerships, right? Like you can't build a business by yourself. Although people may tell you that, that is not true. If you look at these corporations, if you look at the history of Amazon, the history of Starbucks, all these different companies that I have studied, not one of those people built a business on their own. Now, they may be the face of it, but they have had help along the way. And I would tell anybody, you can't do this on your own. First, I would pray for the discernment and the right people to come across your path. You have to pray for that because I've had some phenomenal people that have helped me get my business to where it is now. I have a small team of people that I depend on. You have to put fear aside. You can't worry about who's going to get over on you and all the things. Like you have to be willing to put yourself out there, right? You have to be able to put the fear, the doubt, all of that aside and say, okay, God, I want to show up. You tell me how I should show up. And once you get that clarity, you're going to start to see the people that not for you, they're going to be blocked. Then you're going to start to see people that actually believe in what you do and that's willing to help you. So you don't want to build something by yourself where you get to that point of being burnt out. And most people think, okay, I got to promote myself. I got to promote Instagram, Facebook, all those social media platforms. It could be very overwhelming. I'm old school. So I tell people, yes, you should post. Look, I'm all for it. However, be where your audience is. Decision makers are typically not on Instagram. When you're thinking about who you're trying to reach, unless you're like selling, e-com or whatever, that works. But if you're a service-based business and you want large deals, those people are not on Instagram. And typically the people on Instagram, they're in, the startup stage. They can afford your services. So go where your audience is. Networking, start with the chambers. Network, go to events, be in person, let people see you. Ask, and this is where I say get the fear. Ask your chambers, hey, what type of events that you have? Let me host an event. That's how you start to get your name out there and get people to notice you. That's a strategy right there. Start networking. Start asking your chambers and local other, venues or whatever, barter services. When we had the virtual Barter Black, there was an attorney who said she bartered for billboards. She give legal advice and in return, they give her a billboard. Like you have to fully change your mindset of I'm hustling. I'm doing this by myself. No, you're not, because you're going to get burned out. You're going to end up closing your business and you're not going to get anywhere. So all of these things I'm telling you is a strategy to help you work smarter and not harder.
You know what you remind me of what you're saying, what I keep hearing in my head? When Mark Cuban said Black women should not get VC funding and people were in an uproar, but he was absolutely right? Because not just the low rate of acceptance, but if you're trying to build a business around your care or intentionality, and you VC funding, they're just going to expect too much too fast. Like I would never do that because that doesn't fit who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. So I think the lack of capital hinders all of us at one time or another. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I generated 6 figures, but 6 figures didn't go into my bank account. I had people to pay, right? What went into my bank account is what I'm making now, and I'm paying people less. Like I'm keeping more of my money, right? So I don't know.
Profit margin.
Yeah.
I think I know where you're trying to go with it. And let me know if I'm wrong. Like when you're talking about capital, yes, we don't have a lot of capital as Black entrepreneurs. But what I will tell you though, one thing I've learned in these 10 years, hire who you need. Make sure I hire based on your talent and your skill. If you have multiple, I'm going to access all of your talents and skills as a leader. Okay. I'm asking you questions. I may hire you for one job, but then I'm like, okay, can you do this, and this? Because most of the time what people don't realize, you could have one person that have 5 skills. And I'm finding that with Black women, like they have so many skills and talents. You need to tap into that. So when I say, like, if you don't have the capital, focus on, if your goal, that says revenue growth, you sit down and you say, okay, what do I need to increase my revenue? What does that look like? Okay. Then you look and you say, okay, I can't do this by myself. I may need someone to help me with this particular task. Okay, what does that look like? Who can I pay for that? So you have to be intentional with whatever you have as a solo entrepreneur. A lot of people want to outsource quickly. No, you first need to organize your time, because I'm quite sure you have some time you could do some of this yourself. If you can't do it or don't have the time, then that's when you say, okay, let me see who I could get to do it. But be very intentional about who you hire. But I would tell people the mistake they make, they feel like they need a social media manager. I need somebody to post on social media. First of all, ask yourself, is that going to drive the revenue, or I'm just doing that for visibility? So you have to know your goals and understand what you need. Now, what I tell people, cheaper way to build your credibility and to put yourself out there is in-person networking events. I tell everyone this: if you're a service-based business, whatever you offer, go to these network and tap into the events that's going on locally. Even if you have to drive out an hour, reach out, see if you could be a presenter, like start building those relationships, because that is what's going to move your business forward. Those relationships, those partnerships, and that's how you sustain growth. If you look at major corporations, a lot of them use partnerships, seen or unseen. If you look at Target and CVS, like all of these are example of partnerships, and hence how they're able to sustain year after year. You have to have a good profit margin. When I'm saying profit margin, you got to make sure that you're bringing in profit. So who you hire is very important, and how much you're paying them is important. Have a list. You don't have to always, if you hire someone, say, okay, what's your rate? No, change that. You have your own rates, and you say, okay, I'm paying $35 an hour, and I'm giving the example for this particular task, or this is my flat rate. This is what I have to offer in this set. That's how you approach that. And if they don't want it, okay, you move on to something else. Like, don't force it, because you also want to make sure you are aligned with what you're trying to do. So I always tell people, bring what you charge to the table, and that could help you with your profit margin, making sure that you keep most of your profit. But some people do it the opposite, and they say, okay, this rate is $250 an hour. That's not going to work for me. I can't afford that. This is, I'm hiring for this. So you have to change your mindset like a corporation. You're not going to go get a job and tell them this is what you want. They're going to say, this is the pay range, and you choose, and that's going to be that. And that's how you have to think.
I think there are people on Instagram or whatever, and they're talking more like, make six figures, but they're not talking about profit margin.
Yeah.
They're not talking about revenue in any of that. So I kind of got caught up in all of that. And like you said, it was a lot of burnout, because I was like going, trying to hit this 6 figures. But when I realized this isn't even what I want to do, and I'm just moving really fast to get all of this stuff, and I didn't focus on like what I wanted my impact to be, which is why I'm basically starting over, and why I feel stuck, and why I really love your book, because now I'm doing it based on my vision and not what this Instagram guru is telling me what I need to do.
That's why you would never see me on Instagram, y'all. I don't, and people have been trying to get me, oh, you need to talk on there. I don't want to talk about what you could make, because it's all about patience. It's all about being intentional, and it's all about strategy. I'm not about to tell you, if you work with me, you're going to make 6 figures in a year, because that's not realistic. You may work with me and don't make anything. I'm being completely transparent and honest, because it starts with a strategy. What I'm doing is helping you build that strategy, and then I'll let you go. I'm helping you with the strategy. I can help you execute it and beyond, but you're going to have to change your mindset. And that's what I found. Like, even when I'm working with people, I'm like, I can't help you if you don't change your mindset. If you're stuck in, oh, I want to do it this way, clearly you came to me because your way isn't working. So I tell people, first you have to change your mindset. Then we have to develop a strategy based, like you said, based on your vision and the impact that you want to have on people. And then we move forward. And don't think, when I work with people, we pivot all the time, because strategy pivots all the time. Anything can happen tomorrow. Okay, you come back. Okay, this not working. Fine. Now let's pivot. But I also try to help them to write a contingency plan so you know exactly what to do when certain things happen. Now, do I still have people come to me and be like, oh, wait, what did we say to do again? Or are you sure I should? Because some people, they second guess my choices. And I'm like, I'm sure. I could guarantee you if you do this. But I also allow people to access my resources as well to help them. So that's how, I'm a little different. And I use a teaching approach, not really consulting, because my goal, again, is helping people. So I want to teach you so you could save money in the long run, and you could save a time of heartache. So when someone comes to you, a guru, and say this is that, you could say, oh no, I don't think that's how that's go. So I use a teaching approach as well when I'm working with people.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think a lot of us need that and need to get out of the mindset that these people have these fabulous ads on Facebook, TikTok, or whatever, and they're telling you you can make 100K in a year, and you can, because I did it, but at what cost, right? And I think that you're providing that balance. And I used to say, I want to be a real company. I don't want to be like just out here getting money so I can meet this invisible goal and be stressed out all the time. I could get a job for that, right?
Exactly.
So,
And the whole purpose of having, and this is why I said back to this, like, you can't build a company on your own, and you can't do this by yourself, because I don't know if people realize the whole purpose too for me is I want to live. So I don't want to be running my business. I don't want to be in the business. My goal is to, hey, if I have a client, you have a person to onboard you. You have an account executive. Like, my years of corporate has taught me that, like, most people don't even know. If you're a service-based business, and let's say, I don't know, you're in the consulting world, why not have an account executive? An account executive is typically a salesperson that could go out and get the clients for you. That's what they specialize in. You don't need all the extra stuff. You may not even need social media manager right now, but you could use an account executive to go get those contracts and have a commission-based payment system. So there's different ways you could do this. So you cannot build a business on your own, because you're going to get burned out. It is what it is.
Ashley, thank you so much. Like, I know I learned a lot, and I'm
Oh,
sure the people who are on here have as well.
thank
And
you.
even if you're an author, this applies to you, because 9.9 times out of 10, that book is an intro to your business and who you are as a brand as well. So, Ashley, we have like 1 minute left. Can you tell people how they can reach you, and then I'll leave your link in the comments at the end of the.
Okay. So I see someone asking me if I'm from Louisiana. Yes, I am. New Orleans, Louisiana. Yes, you could check out my website. It's Exceptional Services with an S, agency.com. My book is on Amazon. It's also on my website. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm not a big social media person, but you can definitely, like if you just want to chat, or if you just want like a quick business assessment, just some advice, you can definitely schedule something with me on the website. And I love people. So I love, talk. I could talk about this all day. So please, if you ever want to chat, please schedule some time with me, and I'm definitely open to it.
And people who may be interested in working with you, what do they need to have to work with you?
They don't really need to have anything. Most people don't know their vision, and I would love to help them establish that, their vision, and to help them move forward. So just come and have a conversation with me and see.
Thank you so much, Ashley.
You're
And thank
welcome.
you for your patience with all the tech issues we were
Thank
having. I
you.
really appreciate you hanging in there.
No worries.
And thanks to everyone who hung out with us while we were going through all of that. Thank you so much for joining, and we are going to end it. So enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye.